Hey, what's up, guys? So you may or may not just finish watching the 12.12 Lighthouse trailer. So let's quickly go through some of the things that we've been promised and some of the things we saw in the trailer so we can work our way through a bit of a list of what we're actually getting in this coming patch on December 12th of the 12th. So let's just talk about the map super quickly here. And the first thing that I found out that is the map is way bigger than I thought it was. And that's what she said. Realistically though, from the images we were shown, it looked really small and compact. But in reality, it's huge and it reminds me of Shoreline in a lot of different areas. On top of this, there looks like there's going to be a military base, which is going to have defensible locations, which is possibly full of really good loot, as well as an MG nest protecting the gate. Next to this seems to be a power building, and inside this power building gives me very interchange power vibes. Maybe this will change something in the map, adding power so you can open certain doors, or it might actually be the power for a certain extraction. Only time will tell. In the trailer, we also saw a possible helicopter extract. As you can see, this helicopter is surrounded by green smoke. The map itself seems really well thought out, with plenty of different cover, huge open areas, and also CQC inside some of these luxurious wooden cabins. There's probably going to be a lot of good loot inside these cabins, as well as some cabins stashed around near the shoreline itself. I remember seeing one with a telescope, which is closer to the Lighthouse Island. And what was really curious to me was that the lighthouse was actually on a separate island from the lighthouse location, and you had to go across a huge bridge to get to it. And what I found really interesting was there's a possibility we may not be able to cross the bridge to go to the actual physical lighthouse itself yet. I don't know whether this is because Nikita decided that they weren't going to release the bosses and the physical trader straight away. So maybe this is actually a locked off location, which is something that they will add in the future with the bosses and allow us to actually cross over there. But from this actual trailer and from what I've seen, I do not think we'll be able to go across to the island where the actual lighthouse is located. So let's quickly go through the new guns, and this is what people are most interested in. And we've actually seen a couple here in action and a couple that we didn't expect. So first of all, we're getting the HK, or Heckler & Koch, G28 DMR. This is a 7.62 by 51 extremely accurate DMR, and this looks like we're getting it in FDE. Now, obviously, we're getting the FN Scar H in black, which is the 308 variant, but on top of that, we are also getting the FN Scar L. If you aren't aware already, the FN Scar L is the 556 by 45 variant of the Scar series, and it's also going to be coming in FDE. Now, I'm curious to see if we actually get the FN Scar H in FDE, or if that will only be for the L, similar to the MDRs, how the 308 is only in black, and the 556 is only in FDE. This may be the case for the FN Scar H and also the FN Scar L. On top of this, we are getting the MTS 255 12 revolver shotgun. This thing is going to be a new scav beast, and I'm really scared. If you can spam this thing really quickly, it's going to be devastating, especially if you manage to spawn in with the player scav with Magnum buckshot. Rip PMC's knees that come across this absolute beast. We also saw the MP43E in action, the double barrel shotgun. And what's really interesting about this double barrel is the fact that he fired the 2 rounds really quickly. This leads me to believe that there might be a possibility that you can fire both barrels at the same time. And if this is true, if you're able to load 2 Magnum buckshot in there, you can literally one-shot anyone, which is going to be almost, if not stronger, than the KS-23. We also saw a little bit of footage of the HK USP Tactical 45 ACP pistol. And if you don't recognize this pistol, it's made famous by CSGO. But this thing is going to be amazing, an incredibly accurate and really strong pistol. Another thing that a lot of people seem to miss was the fact that we actually have a new flash grenade. And this is the CTS 7290 flash grenade. And this bad boy is going to be a quick and effective NATO flashbang. On top of that, we now also have a new RGN impact grenade. And if you don't know what this is, it's a grenade that blows up as soon as it hits something. So a lot of people are going to be killing themselves through windows or door frames. But realistically, having a grenade that can blow up instantly is pretty insane, and I really hope that these are expensive. As for new attachments, we saw a huge bunch of new attachments, and the list is too long to name in this video. Let's go over a few that we saw and some of the most interesting ones to me. The first one was there was a heap of new AK parts. I don't know if you saw the hexagonal suppressor, as well as a bunch of new AK dovetail scopes. These look really good, and hopefully they're nice and cheap in the early game to throw them on top of some cheap guns. We also saw a bunch of new voodoo optics, new aim point micro sights, and it also seemed like there was a lot of new FDE parts to match all the new FDE guns. We also saw the HK-UMP suppressor, and I'm really excited about this. Finally, guys, we saw the suppressor as well as some different attachments for the UMP, including a few new scopes that I've never seen before. But honestly, the most exciting thing that I saw in the trailer when it comes down to new attachments was the fact that we finally have a rangefinder. I saw a Vortex handheld rangefinder, and this thing looks amazing. Finally, you'll be able to know when you're doing a little bit of solo sniping to actually have an accurate judge of distance other than just taking those shots and finding out post-raid. This will help a lot with people setting up shooter-born locations or just simply learning snipers. We've also been teased a heap of new ammos for 7.62 by 39, as well as a plethora of different choices for 300 Blackout. It looks like we're going to be getting some traces as well as some more hefty armor-piercing rounds. So this is going to be awesome. These are only just a few that we've been told. I guarantee you there'll be a bunch of new ammos, and I'm really excited to test them for you guys. I'll be making videos about the new armors on this channel, so make sure you guys subscribe for that. All right, so let's get into the camos. I actually saw a bunch of new camos that a lot of people seem to be sleeping on, as well as the fact that I saw a character who had a Russian armband, or it looked like a patch on his left arm. Now, this is really curious to me because I'm wondering if you pick Bear, there's a camo that simply just has the Russian patch on it, maybe like a Gorka type camo, or whether the fact that we'll be able to choose what patch we put on there. Only time will tell for now, but it'd be really awesome to see customizable patches for specific countries and be able to rep your home country on your patch, which would be really sick. And another thing that may or may not be a possibility is 2 times within the trailer, I saw a guy that looked like he had face camo on. Now, I don't know if this is 100% certain or not, but I stared at that screen for a solid 10 minutes and it genuinely did look like he had face camo. So whether this will actually be part of the camos or something that you can apply to your character, I'm really excited for this if this is actually a reality, because you can see within these 2 images that you can definitely see the man's face does have some markings on it, which would be really cool and a way to add just a little nice touch of extra customization. All right, so enough about content. Let's get into some of the actual changes that are coming with 12.12 and the stuff that you guys should be excited about. One of the major changes is that we are going into the full transition of Unity 2019. This means, guys, we are going to be getting DLSS. This is an amazing feature that allows people to basically run higher resolutions at much better frame rates. People who run ultra wide or 4K will be praising the Lord today, as Unity 2019 is not only going to run better, allow the devs to update just that little bit quicker, but on top of this, we may or may not be getting AMD FSR eventually with this engine as well. So this will definitely help the AMD graphics card users. And for all you people out there running 1440p, you running DLSS on performance will actually give you a hell of a lot more frames. So I'm really excited for this as well. During the trailer, we saw the new malfunctions. I don't know if you guys missed it or not, but there is a new iteration of malfunctions. Weapons will have rebalanced misfire chances. On top of this, there will be a new mechanic added to the game called overheating. Something we talked about a little bit earlier in some other videos, but this is really amazing because each barrel will have a stat that is tied to its overheating stat. So a certain amount of rounds through a certain barrel will heat it up quicker than others. An example would be a barrel like the RPK-16, which is a heavy barrel, will take longer to be overheated than or something like an M4 barrel. Now, what's really cool is that each barrel will also have a cooldown factor attached to it. So certain barrels will cool down quicker than others. So how this mechanic's going to work is if you overheat your barrel too much, you'll get a much higher chance of misfires. And on top of this, it'll also cause significant damage to the durability of your gun. Attachments like suppressors will actually increase the speed at which your barrel overheats, whereas muzzle brakes will actually decrease the amount of time it takes to overheat, as well as decrease the time it takes to cool down. There's also a rework of recoil. They're also changing the way that your character auto-compensates for recoil. What this means is it will require a little bit of additional recoil control for the player. This means your character will not automatically adjust for recoil within a certain amount of time as much as he used to. I don't know if you guys know or not, but it doesn't matter what gun you use. At a certain point within the magazine, your character would lock it up and it would become very easy to use. So what this means is you will have to do a little bit more control yourself when you're firing full auto. Hopefully this means that they'll reduce the recoil for burst firing to make up for this. But for some weird reason, the devs don't seem to like burst fire. So I'm not sure if we'll actually see this, but I'm really hoping that they do give burst fire a little bit of love, especially if they are making the recoil worse. We are also getting a ballistics overhaul. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this, and I don't want to get into it a little bit too much in depth here today. Basically, the TLDR is that a lot of the bullets will fly a lot flatter than they used to. Rounds like 7N31 or SB6, which used to come out of the barrel basically directly upwards, then drop like a hot rock, will now actually fly a lot flatter over distance, and will, especially when you're firing from a gun with low zeroing, it won't hit so high anymore, especially with those 9x19 guns. This is really awesome, especially for a lot of people that do use those 9mm guns. And the ASVAL will now fly a lot flatter, which is amazing, and actually has about 50 more meters of effective range. The major nerf to the ballistics, though, is a lot of heavier slug rounds, like for the shotguns, will fly a lot slower. On top of this, rounds will actually now lose velocity and speed like they used to, but now when they lose velocity and speed, they will also be losing a little bit of their penetration power. And this is something that we will test in future, but I'm really glad that they're adding this, because especially over like 500, 600 meters, some of these rounds should be losing a lot of their penetration. Now, we're also seeing the addition of VOIP. This is the ability to communicate with other players in raid. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking, that this is going to be really abusable. However, Nikita has talked about the fact that it's going to be heavily EQ'd to sound like it's actually coming through a handheld radio. On top of this, it will be heavily compressed, and you can definitely tell with the static and crackling that it's coming from a handheld radio. However, that doesn't mean you won't be able to fool other players. It just means that if you're a smart player, you'll be able to know the difference between VoIP and what's coming from the actual in-game. So if you're trying to bait someone or be baited yourself, if you're switched on enough, you should know. Now, hopefully they're adding an option to be able to quickly mute this, especially if it gets a little bit TOS. But they did talk about the ability to report people in a certain area around you if they are abusing VoIP, which means you don't have to be near someone or to die to someone to be able to report them for spamming gamer words over VoIP. Last but not least, inertia. Let's just quickly go through inertia. We actually saw a tiny bit of inertia in the trailer. This is a complete change in movement. Inertia basically changed how quickly that you can change directions or build up speed. What inertia really means is momentum. You need to build up momentum in a direction, and if you want to change to the other direction, let's say you're moving left, it's going to take you a little bit of time to build up towards full speed towards the left, and then to change immediately to the right will actually take a little bit of time to get your body weight and then slowly start moving up to the other direction. This is going to stop a lot of AD strafing in fights, meaning that if you try to AD strafe, it's actually going to be a little bit more awkward. Not that it won't happen, but especially the speed at which it happens in Tarkov is a little bit annoying, and it also doesn't help with the hit reg problems in the game. There's also some changes with inertia. Now, aiming directly after sprinting will be considerably slower. On top of this, we are seeing the end of bunny hopping. You probably will be able to get off one singular bunny hop, but you won't be able to continue to keep it up, because when you land, you lose momentum, and then you'll have to build it up to continue to do this. So this is probably the end of bunny hopping, which a lot of players rejoice, because honestly, although it's in the game, I'm not the biggest fan of this mechanic anyway. Hey guys, that's it for this trailer breakdown. Hopefully you guys learnt something or saw something that I showed you here that you missed maybe when you're watching the trailer. I'm super excited for the patch. And also, just another little word on that, Nikita has confirmed that the patch will be on the 12th of the 12th. So we'll see you guys on Sunday for more 12.12 action. If you guys want to catch me live on Lighthouse, as always, the link for that will be featured down below. I'd love to see you there. And I hope you guys have a great time on the new patch. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.